Hello, everybody. Good morning. I have a new book coming out for children, and it's called Max, the Incredible Cat. It can be bought on Amazon, or you can download it as a Kindle version or ebook version. Right, well, I'm going to read you the first chapter from Max, the Incredible Cat. The Gift. Max, the Maine Coon cat, jumped through the open window of Rod's office and laid the gift for his beloved human on the keyboard of the computer. His amber eyes glowed as he imagined the smile on Rod's face. He imagined the laughing, twinkling blue eyes behind the black framed glasses would beam with pleasure as he looked at the wonderful gift. "Oh, yes," purred Max happily to himself. "Rod will be so pleased with his present that he will stroke me and pet me and say all kinds of nice things to me." Then he, Max, would purr and wrap his long 3-foot body around Rod's legs and arch his back. Rod would reach down and pick him up in his big, strong arms, then stroke him or massage him between his shoulder blades. He, Max, would purr and gently stretch out his 6-clawed paw to pat Rod's hand. He could see it all. Max could hardly wait for Rod to come into the office and start working on his computer. He wanted him to see his present. 10 minutes later, Rod walked into the office. Max peered up at him from under the comfy chair that stood in the corner, all ready to come out and greet his master and be thanked for his wonderful gift. Rod sat down heavily in his office chair, then jumped up quickly. "A rat!" he shouted. "Max, how could you, you disgusting, horrible, dirty, beastly cat!" Suddenly Max found himself being hauled out from under the chair by the scruff of his neck and dumped outside the office door. He sat there for a while, licking his fur, his tail twitching with anger and humiliation. "Huh!" Max growled to himself. "Rod says he loves me, but I don't think he does. He threw my present in the bin. That rat took me forever to stalk and catch. I did it for him because I love him, and I wanted to say thank you for all the lovely things he's done for me. Humans, there's no pleasing them." Max stopped licking his fur for a minute and glared at the open office door. He could just see Rod working at the computer. Giving his paw a quick lick, he started to lash his tail, a little twitch at first. But as he worked himself into an even worse mood, the lashing grew stronger and the growling grew deeper. "Huh! He calls himself my human, but all he does is tell me off. What kind of love is that? All I did was give him a present. He could at least have given me a stroke. Instead, he threw me out. Who does he think he is? I give up. I have a good mind to run away. Then Rod will be sorry. Sorry that he's treated me the way he has. I'll show him. I'll run away. I'll hide in the forest. Or I could hitch a lift on a lorry." As he thought about where he would run away to, Max began to wash himself again, and as he did so, his bad mood started to go away. The dream. It was a hot Californian summer morning in late June. Not a shiver of air to stir the branches of the ancient plum tree, which stood dipping its toes into the cool, clear waters of the tiny creek that skirted the parched garden of the old house. Tiny silver fish darted hither and thither, dancing through the water weeds and rising every so often to the shining surface of their underwater world to snap at the flies and gnats that skated on the sparkling surface of the water. It was a really lazy kind of day, a sleepy day, when all you wanted to do was curl up in some shady place, close your eyes, and dream. And that is just what Max, the Maine Coon cat, liked doing best. And that is exactly what he was doing on this lovely summer morning. He'd made himself comfortable on the blue and white sunbed that lay under the shade of the old tree. His long fluffy tail, which was as long as his body, wrapped around him like a blanket, and his soft grey-brown striped fur was dappled by the dancing shafts of sunshine that drifted through the leaves and branches of the old tree. Opening one amber eye, Max let out a long, shuddering sigh and closed his eye again, then opened the other one and let out another sigh. Then he shook his head, pricked up his large feathered ears with their little tufts on the end, and yawned. I really must get a move on, he thought to himself. There's so much to do and so much to see, but... Max yawned again, showing his huge white teeth. But it is really far too hot to be rushing around. It's so nice here under the plum tree. He let out another long sigh and started to settle down for another long snooze in the shade of the ancient tree. Plop, plop, plop. Max was awake in an instant, alert, looking around for what the noise was. Plop, plop, plop. Ah, said Max, purring to himself. I know what that sound is. It's the fish jumping for flies in the creek. I wonder if I should go fishing. Max knew that if he went fishing, he would have to be very careful that Rod didn't catch him. If he got caught with one of the silver fish in his jaws, or worse, if Rod caught him playing his favourite game of toss the fish, there would be trouble. Max knew exactly what Rod would say. Max, that's very, very naughty to catch the poor little fish and flip them out of the water. It's very cruel to toss them about and then watch them flap in the sand till they die. You don't need to eat them. I feed you enough cat food, so please leave the fish alone, my boy. Max closed his eyes and started dreaming of fish. Nice, fat, silver creek fish, nearly big enough to taste, and nearly real enough to taste. In his dream, he saw himself creep down the steep banks of the creek and onto the shining white sand of the creek bed. He padded close to the sparkling water's edge. Sitting down, he watched the gleaming silver fish as they swam here and there in the sparkling waters of the creek. In his dream, he skimmed his paw across the shining surface and licked off the wetness. Then, moving to a different area of the creek bank, he dipped the ends of his whiskers carefully into the water, breaking the shining surface. Instantly, ripples spread in ever-increasing circles. Then the biggest fish he had ever seen swam into view. It was the very lord of all fishes, a huge monster of a fish. The 12 deadly fish hooks that Max kept hidden, 6 on each of his velvet paws, exploded into action. Into the water went his paw and out shot the biggest fish Max had ever seen. Max purred to himself, and in his dreams he licked his lips. He was just about to put an end to the flip-flopping of the fish when he woke with a start. Something hard, round, and very green hit him on the head. It was an unripe plum. All this dreaming of fishing had made Max really hungry. He decided he would go fishing in the creek, but first he'd have to make sure his fish hooks were all in order. Slowly he unsheathed the 6 curved claws in his left paw. Then he spread out the 6 curved claws on his right paw. Thought Max as he examined them carefully with his big amber eyes. They're going to need some attention if I'm going to catch the big fish in my dreams. Max lazily slunk off the sun lounger and started to strop the bark of the old plum tree with his claws. He was in mid-strop, and out of the corner of his eye he saw 2 flashes of blue, streaked like planes through the branches above his head, each carrying something in its beak. Aha, meowed Max to himself. Those lovely little eggs I saw in the nest last week must have hatched. Birds for breakfast. Oh, yummy! What a good job Rod caught me when I tried to steal the eggs last week. There is nothing quite as tasty as freshly hatched baby blue jay. He grinned wickedly to himself. But I will have to watch out for Rod, otherwise he will spoil my fun. Really, he can be quite tiresome sometimes with his... And Max struck a rod-like pose with his front paws crossed over his chest and tried to mimic his beloved human's soft, loving tones. Now, Max, What have the baby blue jays done to hurt you? Leave them alone, there's a good Maxie. Or else, Max said to himself, Rod might shout at me in his deep voice, Max, get down at once, naughty, naughty cat. Why can't you leave the nest alone? Or perhaps he might really yell at me, do you hear me, Max, you disobedient cat? Come down from that tree this minute. I mean this minute, not next week. Max could almost feel Rod shake the tree to get him down. Can't have Rod interfering with my fun this time, he thought. I'll just have to be extra careful that he doesn't catch me. Max stopped stropping his claws. Shaking his furry head, he sat down under the tree, and every so often he shot a piercing glance towards the open office door. He was still upset with Rod over the way he'd treated his present the rat. It had taken him, Max, quite a time to find the right rat, but Rod was cross with him, and now Max was cross with Rod, and determined to be as naughty as he could possibly be. Every so often he would look up towards the nest and see the blue jays flying backwards and forwards to the nest, their beaks full of bugs for the baby birds to eat. And so he plotted his revenge. So Max is a real cat, and the stories in this book are based on incidents around Max and a few other cats that I know. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you buy the book, and I hope you enjoy the rest of it. Okay, bye.